Good evening, everybody. It's John here from Tutor2, welcoming you along to another of our live stream revision blasts for A-Level Law. The first night of our new little series of revision blasts. We'll be doing a mixture of the type of session that we're doing tonight, which is some fast-paced, quick activities, testing some knowledge and understanding, and then we'll be doing some revision clinics a little bit closer to those exams. And boy, those exams are coming up very soon, aren't they? So let's make sure that we maximise our times together. Now, I'm joined tonight by Laura on the left-hand side of the screen and Emily on the right-hand side of the screen. Good evening to you both.
Hi.
Hello.
Right, so we're talking about human rights tonight. So we've got about 6 or 7 really quick activities. If you've not been to one of these before, Laura and Emily are going to go through those activities with you. We would love to see your responses in the chat window in YouTube. Some of them will be really simple, just 1-letter answers. Some will be 1 word or several words. So we're looking forward to your responses there. We're going to use a little PowerPoint presentation as the backrock of our presentation, so you can download that as soon as this live stream is finished. And of course, this is being recorded, so you can always watch over it again. And if you are watching this on replay, a very warm welcome to you as well. I think that's my introductions done, so I'm going to hand over to Laura, who's going to start with the first question. Here we go.
Right then, so we're going to start tonight off by looking a little bit at Article 5 first. So we're going to do a bubble quiz, and this is going to be perfect for popping your answers in the chat. So you're going to get a question and 4 possible answers. So I'd like to know if it's A, B, C or D. So the first one that we're looking at is, what does Article 5 cover? Is it A, the right to liberty and security, B, the right to life, C, the right to a fair trial, or D, the right to a private life? So when you think you know the answer of what Article 5 is set to cover, do you want to just pop one of those letters into the chat and we'll have a look at what we think the correct answer would be. Rightio, let's have a look. Can we see the answer for this one then? So we've got, what does Article 5 cover? And if we have a look at the answer, let's see what you've all come up with. It is the right to liberty and security. Brilliant. Well done, Lisa. Well done, Isabel. Some perfect answers there. It is the right to liberty and security. And that is what we're going to be looking at with some more questions now. So if we have a look at the next question. So if we're thinking about that term and the actual rights under Article 5, what does the right to liberty and security actually mean? What right does it give citizens? Is it A, all citizens must be secure? B, the right to police protection? C, you have the right to a trial in a court? Or D, a citizen can't be unlawfully detained. So one of these answers is correct if we're thinking about Article 5 and the specific aspects and the rights that we've got under Article 5. What does it cover? Again, if you just want to pop the correct answer into the chat, so either A, B, C, or D. Well done. We get some good answers coming through. Once again, Isabel, you're the fastest mark off there first. Fantastic. If we have a look at the answer then, well done, Gracie. It is a citizen can't be unlawfully detained. So the whole idea of Article 5 is when we say we have a right to liberty and security, it's saying that we as citizens cannot be unlawfully detained by the state. And there's certain aspects under Article 5 that we'll look at through these questions that we have rights to specifically under there. So let's have a look at the next question. Well done to those people getting D in the chat. Fantastic. So a bit more of a specific question now. So we do have that right to not be unlawfully detained against our will. However, there is one of the provisions under Article 5 that actually gives the state, the government, the state, bodies of the state, lawful deprivations of liberty. So certain situations when they can lawfully detain us. So where are these found? Are they in A, Article 5.1, A to F? Are they B, Article 5.2? Are they C, Article 5.3? Or are they D, Article 5.1? So these are the specific ones. We are not allowed to be detained against our will, but there are certain things that the government can lawfully, or the state lawfully can detain us for. Well done, Gracie, Joanna's. We've got a couple of AM well done. So let's have a look at this answer then. It is Article 5.1 A to F. Now, these are the exceptions. So the European Convention of Human Rights says we cannot be detained against our will. However, they have said that the state can actually lawfully detain people. So these things cover like detention after conviction. So if you've gone through your trial and you've been found guilty and you are going to be detained in a prison or something similar, then that is a lawful one as long as you've gone through the trial. It covers things such as non-compliance with the court order. So if you have broken a court order, then that can be a lawful detention if the police or the state detain you because of that. It also covers detention after arrest. So if you've been arrested, then there is a lawful detention there. Interestingly, it covers minors for education. So you can actually detain young people for the purposes of education. It also covers that disease and unsound mind. So we can actually detain people for the purposes of preventing disease and for people with an unsound mind. So if you think back to the COVID rules, that would have come under this one. We didn't want the prevention of spreaders for disease, and that would have come under there. And then we also have the right, the state has the right to detain people if they're wanting to, with a view to deport or extradite them. So all of those exceptions there, the state can lawfully do, and they would not amount to a breach of Article 5. However, let's look at the next question. Let's see what we've got now. So a bit more of a focus on some specific issues under Article 5. What is the name of the police crowd control measures? Is it A, stop and search? Is it B, kettling? Is it C, arrest? Or is it D, detention? So these are measures that the police can use to control crowds. Let's see, have a look at these answers, what we're coming through with. LMA, Gracie, both with a B there. Well done, Jessica. Fantastic. Joanna's well done. It is, you are all correct if we see the answer. That is kettling. So kettling is a form of police crowd control measures. You can see it when you look at maybe some photos of protests or marches, and they will form a crowd control around the protesters or people. They kettle them. And initially, that doesn't breach Article 5. However, it can breach Article 5 if it is not implemented proportionally, if it is not necessary to prevent violence, and if it is enforced for longer than necessary. So if any of those apply, that would actually breach Article 5. They do have to adhere to rules when they're putting these kettles in place. So if we have a look at our next question, this is our last one. Oh, it's not the last one on the bubble quiz. We are now on to our next crack the code. So a little bit of a break from Article 5. We're going to come back to some Article 5 issues in a second. What we do now is we want you to have a look and put in these human rights in order. So when I say in order, I mean the article number. So if you look at these human rights and you think of the articles that they come under, what order would they go in? So that is numerical order. Now, if you are on the AQA specification, you will cover right to life. So you obviously can put that one into your code. If you are on the OCR specification, you will cover the right to a fair trial instead. So there is a couple of different answers that could come on this one, depending on which specification you do. So if you want to try and order these in numerical order, what order would we put these in terms of the number of the articles of these human rights, of where we would find them? If you can order and pop them in the chat, which order do you think they would go in? And let's see if we can crack the code. So you have got A, freedom of expression, B, the right to life, C, the right to a fair trial, D, freedom of association, E, the right to a private life, and F, the right to liberty and security. So if we have a look at the different order of these, well done, Gracie. Let's have a look in a second, see if you've got that right. Have we got any more orders that we can put these in and see if we crack that code? Now, remember, there is a difference here because AQA, you will be studying that right to life, and OCR, you'll have that right to a fair trial, which is a different, those two are different human rights that you would study on different the exam boards. Fabulous. Well done on the answers here, guys. Right, let's have a look at the order that we have got these going through. So we have got B, the right to life. That is your Article 2 on AQA. That would come first numerically. Then we've got our lovely Article 5 that we've just been discussing about, the right to liberty and security. C is the right to a fair trial, which is Article 6. So that's the next number. And then E, we're moving to Article 8, which is the right to a private life, which we'll have a look at some Article 8 stuff a little bit later. Then we've got A, Article 10, which is freedom of expression. And last but no means least, Article 11, the freedom of association and freedom of assembly as well. Okay, fantastic. Now, we are going to come back to looking at some Article 5 specifics. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds on the screen, and you are going to be asked to remember as many things as you can about a specific aspect of human rights on Article 5. So your first one is, can you list for me the different safeguards that the police must follow when they're arresting an individual? So we're going to pop that 30-second timer on now, and if we could pop in the chat. Wow, that went quick. So we're going to have a look in the chat in a second. You don't have to pop them all together. You can just fire them through individually as the different safeguards that the police must adhere to when they're arresting an individual. Now, if we remember, the police are allowed to detain us for the purposes of arrest. However, they do have to follow certain safeguards that you may find in your scenarios. And these safeguards, if they're breached, they could end up leading to it being an unlawful detention instead. So there is quite a couple of them that we can have a look at. Like I say, you don't have to list all of them. If we just think of some of the other things that the police officer must do when we are arresting an individual person. So let's have a quick look and see if you got these right, see if they were on your list. So the first thing that a police officer must do, or during your arrest, they must give you reasons for the arrest. So they must tell you why you are being arrested. They also have to keep a record, so that has to be written down, a written record of what's gone on in your arrest. They also must brilliant, go wisely there, Gracie, yeah, brilliant. So that's one of the ways of remembering the different things they do. Go wisely is more related to the stop and search aspect as well, but it does indicate some of these arrest safeguards as well. So they must give that arrest in a clear language that's unambiguous as well. It must be in a way that you understand. Well done, Johannes. That's one on there. They've got to take you to the police station as soon as possible, within a reasonable time. Obviously, sometimes it's impractical to take them straight away, but as soon as it is possible. Brilliant, Kellis. In the language they understand, it has to be in their own language as well. Of the person that they're arresting. And then we have that rather tricky one there, that reasonable force. So they can use reasonable force, but that's a bit of an issue because what is reasonable force is defined on the police officer. Aizen, who, well done. We've got the caution there. That's brilliant. Yes, so they do have to give them the caution when they are arresting them. And they do have to be read their rights as well. Fantastic. Right, we have got another 30-second challenge coming up as well. This time we're going to switch focus to the other police power that we would be looking at under Article 5, and that is detention. So in a second, I'd like to know, and again, if we could fire in the chat, that'd be brilliant. Let's list the different safeguards the police have when they're detaining an individual. So this is after you've been arrested and you are going to the police station. What safeguards are in place for detaining that individual? So if you pop these in the chat, let's see if we can fire them in. Fabulous. Right, there's some brilliant ones coming through now. So yeah, we've got a couple of the detention clock ones there. If we pop the answers on, there is the detention clock. So obviously they have to adhere to that. If it's a summary offence, it has to be within 24 hours that they are allowed to detain them for. Either way, initially 24, but they can extend it to 36 with the authority of a senior officer. Indictable, again, 24 hours initially, but then that can go a little bit further to 36 or even 96 if they have a magistrate approval as well. So we've got some fantastic answers here. So let's have a look. So we've got some of the basic rights. So the fact that they've got to have a clean, well-lit cell, 8 hours sleep, meals and drinks. They have to be interviewed with a maximum of 2 hours, and then they have to have a break, so they can't go over that 2-hour one. They do have that right to consult legal advice, so they have the independent legal advice that they can consult. If they are under the age of if they're under the age of 18, so if they're 17 or under, or if they're suffering from a learning disability or difficulty, then they would be allowed an appropriate adult in the room as well. They are entitled to have someone informed of their arrest. They are allowed a phone call too, and then we have the detention to time limits. Jessica, you are right. They have to read the police codes of conduct. You can choose if you are in the cell, if you want to read them. That would be something you can ask, and it's one of your rights as well. Remember, some of these can actually be delayed for 36 hours. If they think that you're going to tamper with evidence or warn witnesses or interfere with witnesses, but only an indictable offence. So watch out for that one. It's only indictable offences that they can delay your right to consulting legal advice and your phone call on that one. Fantastic. We've got some good ones. Now, we're going to have a little bit of switch of a focus now to Article 8. So this time we're looking specifically at the right to a private life. Now, I know Article 8 covers 4 specific aspects: the right to a private life, home life, family life, and correspondence. I want to just focus on private life. So you've got a lovely box here. Can you pick out the points here that are specifically relevant to the right to a private life? That first aspect of your Article 8 of your European Convention of Human Rights. So some of these are specifically relevant to just the right covered under the right to a private life. So you can see across the top we've got letters, so you can do it as a lovely little grid format, and then we've got the numbers down the side, or you can just type them in the chat. Either way, if we can look at the ones that specifically relate to a private life. So we've got evictions from your property, rights of family members, choosing what to name your child, personal data, sexual orientation, phone calls and texts, transgender rights, work emails, and celebrities. Now, some of these are specifically relevant to the right to a private life, and that specific aspect. Can we pick out and can we fire in the chat which ones are specifically relevant to that right to a private life? Well done. We've got some answers coming in now. Let's have a look at these. Fabulous. Right, let's pop the answers on and let's have a go through. Well done, guys. You're doing well on this one. So if we have a look, let's look at the yellow first. So the specific acts to private life is you've got A2 personal data. You have the right to your personal data and it not to be disclosed to other people. You have that right to sexual orientation. It's your choice. You cannot be discriminated against that either by the state. That would lead to a breach of Article 8. Then we have transgender rights, very similar to sexual orientation in the sense that you cannot be discriminated against because of those. Or because of your being transgender, and that would be a breach of Article 8. We've seen some very interesting cases go, especially against the UK, where there's been some discrimination there. And then we've got that interesting celebrities one. So the private lives of celebrities, they would come under the right to a private life as well. Now, the other ones that we've got on there, evictions from your property is covered under Article 8, but it's under that home life aspect. You have the right not to be unlawfully evicted from your property. Now, the rights of family members, that would come under family life, so the rights of grandparents, adoptive parents, foster parents. Choosing what to name your child, that's an interesting one. That would come under family life, and the state actually can restrict your right to name a child in certain circumstances, or the choice of name. Then we've got phone calls, texts, and work emails. Now, these are all correspondence, so they would come under that correspondence and the right to private correspondence as well. So well done. We've got some absolutely fantastic answers there. I will hand you over to Emily now, who's going to take you through some true or false on Article 8.
Thank you very much, Laura. Yeah, as Laura mentioned, we're going to go through Article 8 in a little bit more detail. So we have some true or false scenarios. We're going to get straight into it. True or false? If a doctor discloses a private citizen's medical records to a newspaper, or any other media for that matter, would this be a breach of Article 8? So true or false, would that be a breach of Article 8? Now, as Laura also mentioned, there are lots of things that come under what would be classed as private information. In this case, we're talking about medical records, but it can also include anything from a person's name, their address, their sexual identity and orientation. So we're specifically talking about medical records, but if they disclose any of these things, the answers would be the same. So the vast majority of people are coming through here with the answer of true. So let's see if that's correct. Fantastic. Great start. Well done. Let's move on to the next. So a celebrity has the same right to privacy as an average citizen. Again, Laura touched on this, so if you were listening, hopefully you've got the answer to this one correct. Do you think a celebrity has the same right to privacy and a private life as an average citizen? You've probably covered things like the Mosley case, maybe the Naomi Campbell case. Gosh, there's a lot of celebrity cases that you might have covered in both AQA and OCR specifications here. So if you recall these cases, that might help you answer. But again, the vast majority are coming through with the same answer of true. Let's see if you are correct. The vast majority of you said true, which is very understandable because you would expect every individual to have the same rights. Unfortunately, the rule is that if you are in the public eye, your information is of public interest. That's the phrase that you would use. And if your lifestyle, if the relationships that you are in, if the behaviours that you're engaged in are of public interest and important to people, then you are not actually allowed the same amount of privacy as the average citizen. So for instance, the Naomi Campbell case, or like say the Robert Mosley case, lots of other ones you can use to illustrate the idea that celebrities do not unfortunately have the same right to privacy as an average citizen for that reason. Their information, their lives are of public interest. Okay, let's move on to the third. What do you think about this one? A local council refuses to allow same-sex couples to share tenancy rights, i.e. like renting, living together. So would that be a breach of Article 8? So a local council refuses to allow same-sex couples to share tenancy rights. This would not be a breach of Article 8. Do you agree? True or false? Okay, people seem a little bit more hesitant than the first two. Maybe that second one's put you off, knocked your confidence a little bit. I just noticed a question there, but it's gone too fast for me to read. Is there not there we go. Is there not a distinction between in the public interest and... Yes, you are very right. Well done, Gracie. That is very true. there is a clear distinction between of public interest and interesting to the public. Unfortunately, even though there is a distinction, that is subjective. So when a case gets to court, that is determined by a judge who is the one who makes that final binding outcome. And as you know from learning those celebrity cases from your AQA or OCR specifications, it doesn't always fall in favour of the celebrities. Okay, we've got a bit of a mixture of answers there. Let's see what the correct answer is. False. It would not breach. It would breach Article 8 by refusing to allow same-sex couples to share tenancy rights. All right, because that is breaching somebody's right to a private life. In this case, two people to engage in a same-sex relationship and live together. You have the right to live with whoever you choose, in obviously a relationship, whether that's heterosexual or otherwise. Well done to those who got it right. Okay, a little bit of a more long-winded one this time. What do you think of this one? The police believe that a citizen is the leader of a criminal gang. They carry out surveillance upon their home. This is lawful and does not breach Article 8. You might want to take a little bit more time to think about this one. I'll read it through again. The police believe that a citizen is the leader of a criminal gang. So they're involved, obviously, in criminal activity. They're carrying out surveillance on their home. This is lawful and doesn't breach Article 8. What do we think? True or false? So the police have reason to believe that they are engaging in criminal activity. Do you think that under the Article 8 they have the right still to carry out surveillance on their home? Okay. Majority of people are going with true here. Let's get the answer up. Correct. Well done. If the police believe that a person has been involved in criminal activity, in order to protect the public, they are allowed to engage in surveillance to monitor that person, to either ensure that they're not conducting criminal activity, or to prevent it, or in this case, probably to collect evidence to be able to arrest them, detain them, and then arrest them, and hopefully charge them with that criminal activity with the aim of protecting citizens. So well done if you got that one correct, which most people did. Well done. All right, we have a slightly different activity for you here. This is a news headlines one. So nice and straightforward idea. It's a fill in the blanks. So let's see the first one. So blank covers the right to freedom of assembly and freedom of association. So fingers at the ready. What do you think the blank is? What covers the right to freedom of association and freedom of assembly? What are we thinking? Ooh, people seem a bit hesitant about this one. Okay, got a couple of answers coming through now. Okay, well done. Okay, well done. All right, very good. Fantastic. Let's get the answer. Brilliant. Everybody's gone with Article 11, which obviously is correct and is the right to freedom of assembly and freedom of association. So that allows you to have the right to engage in peaceful protest, for instance, to join unions, to join political movements, political parties, to encourage change, etc. Fantastic. Very important right. Next, if the police ban or disband a blank protest, this will be a breach of Article 11 rights. So following on from that previous one, if the police ban or disband a something protest, this will be a breach of Article 11. What do we think that blank is? Okay. Don't want to give anything away too much, but we've got one or two answers so far. Well done. Yeah, okay. Everybody's getting it now. Fantastic. Let's get the answer. Fantastic. Brilliant. If the police ban or disband a peaceful protest, that would be a breach of Article 11, because as your Article 11 rights state, you do have the right to engage in a protest as long as it's peaceful. If you engaged in anything that wasn't peaceful, like Laura mentioned earlier, the police are allowed to use kettling as a method to contain a non-peaceful protest, to detain people and ideally prevent them from committing further harm to others. Let's move on to the next. You're doing really well so far. Okay, what's the blank in this one? A protest or assembly must not obstruct a what? And if it does, they would not have the right to conduct that protest or assembly under their Article 11 rights. So what do we think the blank is in this one? A protest or assembly must not obstruct what? Might need to do some digging in those brains of yours. Okay. That looks like a question rather than an answer, but well done for trying. Okay, here we go. A few more people now. Okay. All right, let's get the answer up and see if you're correct. Fantastic. Yes, no need to be hesitant there. You were correct. A protest or an assembly cannot obstruct a highway. The reasons might seem obvious, but that is obviously to protect the public, to make sure that emergency services, etc., are still able to pass through, along with lots of other things like people being able to go about their daily lives. Well done. Next. Oh. we'll still do that one. Hopefully nobody saw that. Article blank covers the lawful restrictions to the right to assembly. I wonder if you can get this one. Off you go with the answers in the chat if you think you know. And remember, get that subsection in as well. Yes, well done. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. Let's see if you were correct. Very good. Article 11, subsection 2 covers the lawful restrictions to the right to assembly. So what you would do if you were answering a question on this would be you would discuss the actual rights, apply that to the scenario, and then discuss restrictions, and again, apply that to the scenario. Using that structure, you're making sure that you're covering all of your bases and you're not skipping any content out that would get you AO1s or AO2s. Well done. Okay, let's move along. I'm just conscious of time here. We have 2 minutes left. So we have a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 activity with 2 minutes to do this. So you are going to come up with 5 answers. Yes, you were very quick with your clicker, John. Thank you. You're going to come up with 5 answers for the first one, 4, 3, 2, and 1, etc. So let's get those up in the interests of speeding up. So you are looking for 5 human rights that we cover, 4 areas of Article 8, 3 elements covered under Article 11, 2 police powers under Article 5, and finally 1 UK Act of Parliament that covers human rights.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, well done. There were some fantastic answers coming through there. I could see everybody was really quick on number 5, but so many people managed to get all the way to number 1. So very well done for those of you who did, because 2 minutes is not very long to do all of that. Let's get started with the answers to number 5. So all of the rights that you have. Now, obviously, this will be different depending on whether you're doing AQA or OCR. So if you're doing AQA, you'll cover the Article 2 right to life. If you do an OCR, it will be Article 6. But all of the others are the same, so Articles 5, 8, 10 and 11. Right, let's move on to number 4. So for number 4, these are the rights that you have under Article 8. Private, home, family life and correspondence, which includes any form of communication, be that emails, text messages, social media, etc. Number 3, we have freedom of assembly, association, as well as the right to form and join trade unions, like I mentioned previously. And obviously that's the key one if you're discussing a STEM question that's got something to do with a protest. All right. And number 2, you have 2 rights here, arrest and detention. Sorry, not 2 rights, but arrest and detention. Well done. Police powers. And finally, the one act of Parliament that covers human rights is the Human Rights Act 1998, which brought into force all of the human rights that we've just mentioned there, which finishes us off quite nicely.
It certainly does.
Well done, everyone.
Fantastic responses, particularly to that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I thought that was a quick 2 minutes, and we got lots and lots of really good responses. Thank you to everybody who's taken part. Of course, a massive thank you to both Laura and to Emily tonight for delivering those questions, and a big thank you to everybody who's taken part. I'm just looking down at all these different answers we've had from people tonight, and we've had loads of different people contribute. Super stuff. We'll be back with you next week when we'll be covering more topics and working towards the big exams and the clinics that we're working on, that we'll have an extra session for on there. A quick reminder that the PowerPoint that we've just been using will be available for you to download as soon as this presentation finished. Until next time, we'll say goodbye. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.